Assalamualaikum everyone, and thank you so much for joining us. My name is Sukaina Dada. I am the Executive Director of Smile Canada Support Services, and I will be your host for today. Unfortunately, my co-host, Naima Ismail, who is Smile Canada's Summer Education and Outreach Coordinator, cannot join us tonight, but I must give her a shout out because she was the vision and the energy behind this 12-month series. The purpose of the 12-month series exploring our intersections is to use our platform at Smile Canada to have conversations with one another, to bring about awareness about intersectional identities, experiences, and oppressions that impact who we are and our day-to-day lives, be it at school, at work, on the streets, or in the community. Intersectionality is a term coined by the famous Kimberly Crenshaw, and it's the idea that our experiences, our identities, and our oppressions are interlinked and that they cannot be examined in isolation. Crenshaw has a very famous quote where she says that intersectionality is not about counting and competing, that I identify as certain things and you identify as others. It's about how structures make identities the consequence of the vehicle for vulnerability. It's about context. What is happening and what is going on? What policies impact us and what institutional structures play a role in contributing to exclusion? So for all of you watching, this is what we want to talk about. And every month, the spotlight focuses on different social constructs, such as race or gender. But often left out of the conversation is disability and the oppression of ableism. So this is why the series that we're offering will discuss disability and inclusion at the center of each and every conversation. Our guest speaker today is Amina Hussein. She is the founder of the motivational blog, Adversity with Amina, which you can definitely check out on the flyer and in the link section. Amina is a future special education teacher and an advocate for acceptance and inclusion in Texas. She's actually joining us from Texas today. Adversity with Amina is an open space for people with different facial features and other disabilities to share their stories about overcoming challenges. First of all, I want to say, Amina, thank you so much for joining us and for being here and for kicking off this really big project that we had, this 12-month-long intersectionality series. If you could start by telling us a bit about yourself, who you are, and what was your motivation behind your advocacy and activism, but particularly the blog Adversity with Amina.
Thank you, Sakina. Thank you for having me. It's such an honor. Well, as Sakina already said, you guys already know my name. So a bit about myself. I was born and raised in Houston, Texas. My family is from Somalia, and that's in Africa. So I got my bachelor's in biology at Purdue A&M University, and my degree was in biology with a minor in chemistry. So what I do is I work with children with special needs, and I'm currently seeking positions in teaching to work with children with all types of disability.
And Amina, can you tell us a little bit about the blog? Because we've been sharing a little bit on Facebook that it's right. Amina from Adversity with Amina. Can you tell us a little bit about what is it about, and also why did you decide to launch that?
So what the blog is, it's like a place where anyone and anyone that has any types of disability, it just doesn't have to be facial features, but it can be any type of disability where they come and, just an open space to have a conversation, to share their experiences and the challenges that they went through, and just to have that dialogue with everyone and with each other, to have that that kind of open space again, just kind of like a safety, like a safe area, like a safe environment where we won't be where you won't be, judged or looked down on or anything, just where you can come and have an open and organic conversation.
That's very cool. It's and definitely needed. Like, the more and more of these types of platforms we have to discuss and have dialogue and conversation, I think the more we are understanding one another and understanding one another's experiences. I was just actually messaging Hina Javed, who's Smiles volunteer coordinator, to just say, we've shared the link to the blog. For those of you who are joining us, please, when this is done, please check it out and follow Amina. I've been going through some of the stories, and they're absolutely they're really, like, they've taken me personally back quite a bit. One in particular, Amina, you talk about human decency. I shared a quote about how you talk about human decency, and to be honest, the reason why I'm saying it took me back quite a bit is because oftentimes on social media, you see stories of people, including people with disabilities, and they are, it's as if it's extraordinary or so remarkable that you invited a boy with Down syndrome to play basketball, or that you sat beside a girl with autism, or you let somebody join your club. And, it's seen as this remarkable and huge step or huge accomplishment. And when I was going through your blog, one thing that struck me was you're talking about human decency, that it is human decency, it is humanity, it is humanness to be kind to one another and to communicate with one another. And I was really taken back by that.
Right. Yeah. So we live in a society where human decency is almost celebrated. It's almost applauded, like wow. And we grew up our parents teaching us that this is something that is expected, like it's assumed. Like you shouldn't want an applause because you invited that guy, that kid with autism, to basketball. Like, why wouldn't you? Like, what's the difference between him and somebody without special needs? It's only the special needs that's taking him away from that. So I'm like, it doesn't need to be celebrated, or it doesn't need to be applauded that you're doing something very normal. Like why wouldn't you sit across somebody who has Down syndrome, or that has autism, or that has any type of disability? Why wouldn't you? Like, why is it celebrated? Like, oh my God, I did that. Like, it's like, okay, you did, and like, what, like, what's next?
Yeah, no, it really was a powerful message, and I think one that I'm very happy that you're sharing it today, because I think even personally, I've sort of been guilty of looking at those videos and being like, oh, that's so great, but just it goes to show us, like, that the bar is set so low socially, that bar of inclusion and just humanity is set so low.
Right.
And together, I think this is something we need to talk about directly. So I mean, I for one am happy we're doing that. I wanted to ask you if you could share with us and to the viewers who are watching some of the challenges or barriers you may have experienced, as a child or as a young adult, and maybe any advice you could give specifically to children and youth who may be experiencing similar challenges or similar barriers.
Right. So, an advice that I can give them is it's not our responsibility it's not our responsibility to kind of make that person feel comfortable or to make that person feel like, okay, you did something good. Again, it's not our responsibility for them to feel like they did something good. We shouldn't be overcompensating. When coming into a room, some of the challenges that I like to talk about is overcompensating. I feel like when we come into a room and we're kind of sworn down, or we have something that's holding us back, like a disability or whatever nature it is, we feel we have the concept of overcompensating and kind of making sure that everyone in the room feels comfortable with our disability, where in reality, it's not our responsibility. Like, it's not up to us to make you feel comfortable about who we are. Because if we're comfortable and we have that self-worth about us, why is it our responsibility to make you feel comfortable about it? So one advice that I can give anybody, children or grown adults with disability, is not only don't overcompensate, but make sure that you know where your energy is going. Like, value your energy and learn when to use that energy and not to use that energy.
Well said. I like that. I was just jotting that down. Value your energy and when to use that energy. That's quite powerful, actually.
Thank
And
you.
I think that goes for everybody, right? Especially
Right.
in a world where there is so much going on. There are so many, major institutional, structural issues, systemic issues that are here, right now. And then of course we didn't mention it, but we're in a pandemic. Just as a side note. But I like that, value your energy and know when to use that energy. So, as you know, the series, we're talking about intersectionality. Maybe it's a concept that people are familiar with. Maybe it's a concept that some people are not familiar with. Our goal is sort of exploring, our intersections, or the intersections that impact us, make us who we are. What does that mean to you? How does living as a Black Muslim woman with a disability shape your experience, or shape your experiences?
Well, okay, living with intersectionality, we live in a world where being a woman is looked down on, or, considered having a weakness. And being Black makes us feel like, we're second class citizens. And being Muslim, you're being a target. And being facially different or having any type of disability, not even with me having, but with anybody having a disability, it's looked at as being incompetent. So having all of these stereotypes on me, I'm able to bring these awarenesses, because on the contrary, women are strong. Black and brown men and women are very empowering. They're very intelligent, and being Muslim is a privilege to have the type of faith that we have. And it's not me facially different. It's who I am. It's what I represent. It's me. So I'm gonna stand tall and proud on being the person that I am, just like anybody else in the world. And having all of those things stacked upon each other, it's even more reason why to bring awareness, to be like, to advocate and be like, okay, I do have these things, but guess what? As much as you want to be a difference, I'm going to make the same difference. So I guess, it shapes these type of experiences, and having these types of intersectionality kind of interconnect with each other, it helps me, you know, advocate for the awareness in a way.
That's awesome. And how have the responses been? How has the community, your local community, responded to your advocacy or your activism?
So actually, I've gotten a lot of encouragements. I got a lot of good feedback, and explaining on how this type of platform is very much needed in our Muslim and our Somali community, because we live in these communities, and having any type of difference, let it be disability, let it be any sort of unusualness, like anything out of the box, is kind of, it's kind of hid away and not talked about, and kind of in secret. So I guess it's been really good feedback so far. Yeah.
That's wonderful that it's been good feedback. I wondered about that especially we mentioned it earlier, but for those of you who have tuned in recently, Amina Hussein is in Texas. Like you're south of the border for us, and there's a lot going on. We're witnessing what's happening to Black brothers and sisters all around the world, but right now especially we're witnessing that in the United States, and we know of the Islamophobia and the Islamophobic rhetoric that took place, and in your earlier response you even talked about just being a female, and how that is already people are already looking down upon in terms of gender, and I wondered how would the response be of this type of work. But it's really great to hear that the response has been positive, especially from coming from communities, and in your particular community. I think that encourages us here to do more work, and to share what we're learning from each other. um, I do want to ask you though, what would you say to an individual who just didn't understand the need for this type of advocacy, or the need to have these conversations? I personally have heard from community members, it only affects a few people. Why do you spend, like, why are you all talking, causing sort of so much, not chaos, but just, sorry, say that again?
Uproar.
Yes, uproar is a good word. Like, why the noise? There's so many other things to worry about, is often actually what we hear. How would you respond to someone who says something like that?
Um, I would very highly ask them, I would very highly ask them, wouldn't they want a platform that represents them? Wouldn't they want something that represents them, like as a person? And if they answer yes, or if they answer yes, I would ask them, then why don't you want it for somebody that has a disability? If you want to be represented, then why doesn't somebody with a disability not want to be represented? I mean, this type of platform is not something that's an elective. It's something that is very necessary. And by that, I say that because in society, we live in a world where having a disability is assumed that they are restricted and that we're not able to do certain things. That's not the truth. We are able to do everything. I mean, we are able to do everything with moderation. And I feel like when someone has a disability, it forces them to learn their weaknesses and their strengths. You know, because you're learning in the process, you're learning what are you capable of, what are you not capable of, and being completely transparent with yourself, you know, and being transparent with everyone else around you. And so to the person that's saying that, I would tell them that, again, this platform is needed because everyone has an outlet. You know what I mean? Everybody has somewhere where they need to, you know, vent or where they need to discuss. And, you know, there are different clubs, there are organizations, there are nonprofit organizations. But let's take a step back and ask ourselves, are there any blogs, are there any nonprofit organizations that collectively are represented for people with special needs? And if you don't see that and you say, yeah, there are, but let's outweigh how many nonprofit organizations are there for people with disability and other factors. They outweigh each other. So having this type of platform, it allows, again, it allows people with any types of disability to just come and express themselves, let them vent, let them talk about their accomplishments, let them talk about anything that they want to talk about. Because by the end of the day, we have a disability. Yeah, we have a disability, but that's not the only thing that defines us. We're more. We have more characteristics. We have personalities. We have all these wonderful qualities about us, and this platform allows other people to see that. And it also allows people without a disability to come and just, you know, learn and kind of be like, okay, let me check my privilege. Let me check, you know, let me check my privilege at the door and see how I can make the person, how I can make my brother, my sister, my loved one, my friends, anyone with a disability, how can I make them feel accepted? Or how can I make them feel like talking to me is not up to them? You know what I mean? Like, how can I make this world feel comfortable for them to be the best selves that they can be by the end of the day? So yeah, I would tell them that.
That's pretty powerful. I like how at the end you're like, I would tell them instead.
Exactly.
Yeah, so we will be taking questions on Facebook Live. We're streaming from the Zoom platform, but we will be taking questions. So if any of you have any questions, please do type them in the chat box, and we'll try our best to get them in. Before we move on to that, though, Amina, you know, we've mentioned the blog quite a few times, and we talked about the motivation behind the blog. We talked about, you know, how a platform to share your personal stories and your personal experiences, and for others to share like what that would do. Can you share with our viewers, with the audience, a little bit about, you know, how to access this blog and how to get in touch with you if they want to get in touch with you?
I'm very social media active. So social media, you can go on Facebook, and the blog is called Adversity with Amina. And then on Instagram, it's adversity underscore with underscore Amina. And on Twitter, for those of you who use Twitter, it's at Amina with. So there's no adversity on Twitter. It's just Amina with. And Amina spelled Amina.
Okay. Perfect, perfect. So for those of you who are watching, please do check it out. This is very, very exciting. So I had one sort of final question for you, and then I'll ask you if you want to just leave the audience or the viewers with any thoughts. The one question is, with Smile Canada, we're working with over 250 families, and many of them refugees, many of them new immigrants, mostly racialized, like children and families who are racialized. And we've heard, especially during the pandemic, and given everything that's on the news, we've had a lot of conversations about how it's becoming more and more difficult to how you said earlier, like, stand tall and proud, that it's in a sense, the conversations have been around how it's becoming more and more difficult to do that, be it your headscarf, your hijab that you're wearing, be it because of your skin color, be it because of your disability, be it because of your gender, be it because of for someone who's a refugee or new immigrant, that it's becoming more and more difficult to sort of be who you are, and not be proud of who you are. I think we're all proud of who we are, but just like be that tall and proud, that vocal about who you are. I don't know if you had any insight on that, or anything you wanted to share just about how can we individually and collectively work on that, because I think we are proud of who we are.
Right. It starts in the home. It all starts in the home. Excuse me. It all starts in the home. And by that I mean it starts in the home with both parties, meaning parents with children who do have a disability, and with parents who don't have children with disability. And by that I mean when parents who don't have children with disability, they should be teaching their children on how to deal with on how to not deal with, but how to associate with someone who has a disability. I mean, to teach them, okay, don't pick on this kid because something different that he has than you. You know what I mean? Like having that sense of, I feel like the friends that I made, or the people that I surround myself at, are people who are non-judgmental, like, or not even like, they really don't look at those kind of things. So it all starts in the home, where parents are supposed to be teaching their kids, when you see somebody who's different than you show them respect and dignity. You would show any person without a disability. You know what I mean? Like, we bring awareness to children at a very young age. We teach our children respect your elders, right? So just add in there, just kind of sneak in there. Okay, do not judge anybody that has a disability, and making them aware of the type of people that they won't be, associating with. And then with parents who do have children with disability, I would advise them on, show your child worth. You know what I mean? Like, you would encourage somebody without a special needs, right? So imagine how much more that child with special needs needs. I was very lucky to have family that encouraged me, and that was like, okay, you can do this. They showed me my self-worth, or like what I need. And so show that child that, not only do they have your support, but they also have your back, like you're backing them. You have that cheerleader in them, because if they know that they can do everything, then they're gonna do everything. But in the process, also be very transparent with your kids. because you don't want to be like, oh, you can do whatever you want to do, and then the child believes that, and then they don't do something, and they're like, but wait, my mom or my dad told me that I can do anything, so what's going on here? So you also want to encourage your children, but you also want to be transparent with them. You also want to let them know, hey, honey, you are able to do anything that you want, but it will take time. It will take process. It will happen, but it will happen with time. So being transparent is one advice that I can give parents with children who have special needs.
So somebody is asking about your about your daily motivation. So I'm assuming this might have something to do with, like, is there a daily practice? What drives you on a day-to-day basis to do what you do?
Honestly, great question. Honestly, just motivation is basically is if others can do it, why can't I? I know my strengths, I know my weaknesses, and I know how I'm gonna get there. So if they can do it, what makes me different? Like what is stopping me? Like if I know 100%, I know what I'm capable of. Why why hold myself back? What's the worst that can happen? I get like everyone else. So just if anybody else can do it, why can't I?
And you mentioned you're an aspiring special education teacher, and that you've worked with children in the past. And I wonder, do you, when you're doing your work, do you have sort of that motivation, that drive for the children you're working with? Like, are you sort of passing that on to the people that you're working with?
Definitely. Some of my kids have almost got annoyed with me based on my mantra. But yeah, I do. I mean, I make sure that they know. You know what I mean? Like we explore together. Um, so we explore together on what they're capable of and what they're not capable of, because I don't like building fantasies for my children. I don't like giving them rainbows and unicorns. I was raised with like realists. Like this is what it is, and this is how we're gonna get there. So it's not being a drill sergeant, but kind of being like, I'm here for you when you need me to, but also I won't give you the I won't give you the reality check that you need. So I do implement that, but I also do make sure that my kids, you know, this is a very hard world for anyone, even if we don't have a disability. It's a hard world. You know what I mean? Like it's very hard. There are things that we don't get through. So imagine how much harder and how much challenging it is for a person with a disability. So if I were to give them that desired rainbows and unicorns, and they come out and they come out of that and they go into the real world, it would be a disservice on my part because I didn't prepare them for that reality. So in the process of letting them know you guys are capable of everything, yes, but by the end of the day in this process, we're gonna know what you are thriving at and what you're not thriving at. So just being real with them, like giving them that reality check that they kind of need.
And I can assume you're doing all this with a smile, just having gotten to know you a little bit. You're so kind and so friendly. One of the comments that somebody left for you is just to thank you for the support that you're offering to our communities by your advocacy. We and I'm speaking as someone who's part of Muslim communities here in the Greater Toronto area, that oftentimes I think we as different organizations, as people from even different areas, like, you know, you're in Houston, we're here in Toronto, we need to join forces and come together and share our experiences, our resources, to help each other. I feel like what you're saying today, this conversation, is resonating with a lot of people here. And so for that, we thank you. And I'm sort of thanking you on behalf of of the individuals who are sharing comments. Somebody's saying that you should be writing a book. So I guess, you know, in your spare time, in addition to the teaching and the blog and all of that, you know, please publish a book.
Yeah, we will be on Spotify.
Yes, yes. But I can actually see that, you know, the messages you have to share. I think, you know, we need to hear them, and it's important. So I don't want to keep everyone. I want to say thank you to those of you who have joined us. I again want to give a shout out to Naima Ismail, who was Smile's summer student. She was the education and outreach coordinator. I can't take credit for this. She found you, Amina, she reached out. She also is the vision and the energy behind this year-long series. And we couldn't be happier to have you, Amina, to launch it for us with this discussion. Before we leave, is there anything else you wanted to share with our viewers?
Stay safe.
Stay safe. Yes, yes, people, please stay safe, wear masks. And I also wanted to acknowledge Anisa Mustafa, who is interpreting for us today. And we're glad she's on, and she'll be joining us for the rest of the series, inshallah. So with that, somebody's saying, Amina, you are going places that are out of this world. I'm going to add an inshallah to that.
Thank you so much.
But please, everyone, please do check out the blog Adversity with Amina. We've put it in the comment section. Check it out and make sure that you are getting in touch. You're reading, because not only is it a place for Amina to share her experiences, it's a place for others to share their experiences as well. So please do check it out. Again, thank you all for joining us. Amina, a big thank you to you. Our gratitude is to you for joining us. I know it's hot in Houston, and it's late, but we really appreciate your time, and we really appreciate your sharing your experiences and your words with us.
Thank you for having me. It was very fun.
I'm glad. So everybody, you take care. Amina's last sort of piece of advice was stay safe. And inshallah, we will see you at the next Intersectionality launch, which is series, which is going to take place the first week of October. Check out smilecanada.org. Check us out on Facebook. Check us out on Instagram and on Twitter. And stay tuned. Keep up with what we have in store with the series, inshallah. So take care, everyone. Bye-bye.